Man, oh man, does revenge taste sweet. After the Wizards blew the Raptors out in Toronto, there must have been some desire for revenge heading into this game. Nothing really changed between the two games, except this time, the Raptors were ready to play. In their first meetup, the Raptors shot 31% from the field, 31%. That is beyond atrocious, and 21% from the three. This time around, they shot 47% from the field and 40% from 3, which is much better. The Raptors are on a roll right now, winning 5 straight games, and a large part of that is their much improved offensive execution, especially from the 3-point line. Truth be told, this game should have been a blowout with the starters on the bench. However, in the middle of the fourth quarter, the Wizards started abracadabring some magic and went on a little run to make things closer. All of a sudden, the Raptors were not hitting their shots and their half-court offense was getting worse and worse. This had to do a large part with the fact that the Wizards were doing a great job of not turning the ball over and letting the Raptors run out in transition. In fact, majority of the Raptors' transition points came off of rebounds and the guards just pushing the ball up the court ASAP. However, once that transition game got slowed down, they started to struggle a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, the refs did miss a few calls down the stretch of the game that really helped the Wizards, but it was fine because sooner or later, Fred VanVLEET was able to push the ball once again and get the Raptors back to their bread and butter. Speaking of Freddie, he was on a tear tonight. I mentioned that with Scottie Barnes out, I would need to see either OG or Fred step up. Against the Knicks, OG had himself a career day, and tonight against the Wizards, Freddie came to play. He put up a season-high 33 points and 6 assists while shooting a super efficient 13 of 22 from the field and 3 for 6 from the 3. This win streak has a lot to do with the drastic improvement of play from FVV. Whether it is setting up his teammates, scoring like a madman, or playing elite level defense, he finds a way to impact the game and it is helping the team win on a consistent basis. OG once again was his solid self. He dropped 21 points on 9 for 20 shooting from the field and 3 for 5 from the 3. Honestly, it was a pretty solid game, but I think that this should be the normalcy for OG from here on out. Anything below this standard, I would consider a bad game for a player of his caliber and potential. Do you think that's an appropriate standard? Either way, he was fantastic, especially on the defensive end because for a large part of the game he was on Bradley Beal, who actually had a pretty good game this time around. The Raptors understood that he is the best player for the opposition by far, so it was very rare to see him get 1v1s. In fact, a large part of the time they would use a soft double team trying to either get him to pass the ball up, take a long 3, or drive right into the double team, forcing a turnover or a really bad possession. As a result, he was able to rack up 7 assists, but you live with that. Once again, Gary Trent Jr. was a two-way stud. There is nothing out of the ordinary there. He's been doing that for the entire season. However, in this game, there were times when he was actually picking up Bradley Beal, which I think is a pretty huge testament to the fact of what the coaching staff thinks of his defense and his potential on that end of the floor. This is something to definitely look for moving forward, because if he starts picking up the best guard on the opposition, that would be awesome. It would allow Scottie and OG to play off-ball defense, which they are really damn good at as well. I keep telling y'all, over and over again, even in the preseason, even in the summer league videos, that Svi is a hooper and a gem of a find. Low-key though, he is also blowing my expectations out of the water. You can kind of see the type of player they really want him to become for this team. Outside of what he is already doing that is great, They really want him to be an awesome moving three-point shooter, a similar mold to some of the greatest snipers of the past like JJ Redick, Kyle Korver, Duncan Robinson from today, Mike Miller. He shot a few threes coming off a combination of a curl and a brush screen, but he misdialed it. However, he has made those type of shots in previous games, which does give you the idea that he can be that knockdown shooter. If he can become that level of a knockdown shooter, he is going to get paid in a few years. He is also an above average defender and hustles like no other player on the court. Honestly, this video would not be complete without some Nick Nurse love. The Raptors found their mojo with the 1-to-5 pick and roll between Precious and Freddie. However, the Wizards adjusted to that by putting a bigger defender on the help side, which pretty much prevented Precious from getting an easy dunk or layup, thus making him shoot, which is not ideal for the Raptors offense. So, Nick Nurse countered this adjustment almost immediately by calling a timeout, and he put Khem Birch in. The next two trips led to a Khem Birch floater, and then a Khem Birch kick out to OG for 3. This minor change, super minor, allowed the offense to find its rhythm once again and pretty much put the Wizards back on the heels. Outside of that, I do really hope that Scottie Barnes can come back for the next game so he can mark Evan Mobley and end the discussion around who is the Rookie of the Year race. If there is one game that fans look for in regards to the Rookie of the Year race is when they face each other, so this will be a pretty good game in that regard. I am sure that they want him to be 110% before he is on the floor again. There is also a report that said that Siakam is only 2 weeks out from coming back to the court, which is fantastic news for the team who has found their stride without him, and he will only help. The next game is against the Cavs, who have been surprisingly competitive, so this game should be no different. I will be very intrigued to see how they deal with their unique starting five that includes 3 big men in Evan Mobley, Laurie, and Jarrett Allen, especially how that affects the rebounding battle. Thus far into the season, the Raptors have actually been an amazing rebounding team and has allowed them to score second chance points when their half-court offense fails. It should be an easy victory for the Raptors, but as you know in the NBA, anything can happen.